Let us begin tonight in Nigeria, specifically with a group called the Niger Delta Avengers. It's a militant group that has carried out attacks on oil facilities across the southern part of Nigeria, specifically the heartland of that country's oil sector. Its members say they will only negotiate with the government if independent foreign mediators are involved. Now, last week, the group rejected an offer from the government to hold direct talks. Attacks in the southern swampland have pushed oil production to a 20-year low in what was until recently Africa's biggest oil-producing nation. Now that title has gone over to Angola. On Sunday, the movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta, one of the region's largest militant groups until it signed up for government amnesty deal in 2009, urged the Avengers to take part in those talks with the government. Let's head over to Abuja now, where Sophia Dengo is live with more data and insights into this story. Sophia, set the stage here for us. How are these talks structured? Who's representing both sides, and what are the main points under discussion?
Well, Rama, there's an unconditional, extension from the government for amnesty for armed groups in the Niger Delta region. 9 states that have about 30 million people, of which there are these small factions or groups that are agitating for the rights of the people in the Niger Delta. Now, in the case of the Niger Delta Avengers, a small faction or members of this group that have been armed and have caused considerable damage to oil pipelines with international oil companies here in Nigeria. Really what's on the table is the Nigerian government, initiating what they are calling back channel diplomacy, in which emissaries or groups from the member groups from the NDA, as they're known here, and the Nigerian government are holding, very closed-door private meetings to really come to agreement as to what to do in terms of, settling the disputes and also the attacks on these oil pipelines that have caused considerable damage. In terms of representation, the members of the NDA, the Niger Delta Avengers, as well as, surprisingly, members of these multinational oil companies, security, and also members from the NNPC, the Nigerian Petroleum Company here that regulates the petrol. So it is this representation from these 3 groups that will be meeting, of course, very privately in a bid to reduce the attacks or even come to some kind of consensus as to how to bring some more stability to the Niger Delta region. Rama.
Indeed. Let's, aside from this issue of revenue sharing, because that's been talked about for quite a while, one of the other main issues here is cleaning up the widespread oil spills in the Delta. And this has been a problem for decades. Ken Saro-Wiwa was dealing with this same issue. Why has this problem not been solved decisively?
Well, the cleanup efforts and the environmental degradation in the Niger Delta have been the root cause of many of these agitations. On one hand, you have members of these armed groups claiming that the international oil companies are responsible for these oil spills and have not taken up a major effort in cleaning up, whereas the international oil companies have said that they are responsible for any cleanups due to any breakages in their pipelines or oil, old oil facilities, and have said that they have continuously been responsible. And the oil companies are blaming the members of these armed groups and saying, due to the damage that they have caused to these pipelines, that the oil spills are not their responsibility. And therefore, the government of Nigeria, along with these armed members, should take responsibility in cleanup efforts. So it is in those, negotiations or the investigations as to the source of this damage is really what delays the cleanup efforts in the Niger Delta. It's been a decade-long debate with groups like Amnesty International releasing their side of reports over the cleanup efforts or the lack of by these IOCs or international oil companies. And on the other hand, the responsibility of these armed groups in cleaning up the damage that they have caused with their own hand. So it is, of course, this debate that is ongoing and is really the root of what is happening with the NDA currently and, the Nigerian government, as well as these foreign oil companies. Rama.
Indeed. One final question for you, Sophie, and this is on monetary policy. This central bank governor announced a move to a more flexible foreign exchange policy on the 24th of May. 3 weeks later, we're still waiting. What's triggered this delay?
Well, Rama, forex speculations have been high over these last 2 months. And what people want to know here in Nigeria, not only the local consumer, but people who need, business people who need forex to be able to run their businesses, and the Nigeria Central Bank in really understanding what level of reserve they have is this golden question. And at this moment, that is still developing. As we, we're researching this evening, we're told that perhaps maybe tomorrow there'll be an unveiling from the central bank, really unveiling what the actual forex rate will be here against the dollar. So I must say, Rama, it's really still up in the air.
Indeed, we'll leave it there for the time being. Thank you for that. That's Sophia Dengo live from the Nigerian capital of Abuja.